Hello everyone, here is Elisa from Creative Academy, and we are here today. It's one of 6 webinars that we are developing for giving to cultural and creative industries the chance to know more about crowdfunding, what it is, how they can use it, how they can develop their own crowdfunding campaign to get the fund to then realize their projects. This is the first webinar, and we will see together the main characteristic why you should use crowdfunding, why you should know about it, how it can be useful for you. In the following webinar, that if you will subscribe to the platform, you will have the chance to follow. We will see through this webinar the characteristics, the main models, how to develop a crowdfunding campaign, how to develop a communication strategy for your crowdfunding campaign, and then at the end we will have 2 special guests that will tell us how to unlock public funds with crowdfunding and how crowdfunding was used during the years around Europe from cultural and creative industries to get funds. So, if you are ready, as I am, we will start with our first webinar. In this first webinar, we will see the definition of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a financial mechanism that you can use to finance your project. Instead of asking funds from private or public organization or European funds, you can use this mechanism to ask money from a larger group of people through a crowdfunding platform. The 3 main actors that you will find within any kind of crowdfunding initiatives are the project owner, the platform, and the crowd. So the crowd mainly is the number of people, which could be investors or supporters, based on the models that we will see later on in these webinars, that finance your project. So they will give you the money in order to see your project realized. The project owner, which is the private, public, physical or juridical person which is running a project, which is proposing a project that is looking for funds. And then we have the platform, which is the marketplace, we can say it like this, which is the marketplace where the question for money and the answer met. So you have this place, which is the platform where project owners will go on to publish their own crowdfunding campaign, and the other side you will find all the people that are around the project, but also around the platform, that will go through the platform to donate or to support or to invest in your project. And this is something that you have to keep in mind, because it's not that each actor is working as an own entity, but they are interrelated. So there is not crowdfunding without platform, there is not crowdfunding without project owner, and the intersection of these 3 actors make it possible crowdfunding. There are different motivation that drives people to contribute to your crowdfunding campaign or to your project. This is a distinction that you as project owner has to keep in mind, because based on the motivation that people have, you will be able to catch them. So if I have to be more precise, I would say that, of course, we have different models of crowdfunding, but you have to keep in mind that usually in non-financial model, where we are talking about supporters, people decide to contribute to your project or to your campaign because they feel close to it. So you have to develop that incentives based on closeness. So if you have a project that is developed at local level or at regional level, you will focus on the geographical proximity or closeness of the people around you, as well as you are developing, for example, a project that aims at cleaning the oceans or the sea from plastics. You will start to set your crowdfunding campaign based on your motivation, the cause that drives your project. So maybe I will try to make it more catchy, developing and reaching all the people that are paying attention to the environment, to the issue of the plastics in the sea. These are just some examples to give to you how this mechanism is working. On the other hand, when we are talking about financial model, I should develop some incentives that are mainly economic. So when we are talking about these models, we are talking about investors, and investors are people that want their money back. So I will base my crowdfunding campaign on a good interest rate, on the valuation of my startup or SMEs. And this will drive and will make your project, your organization, your company competitive related to the others. We made this first distinction because we have to keep in mind this separation between non-financial model and financial model of crowdfunding. Non-financial model are basically donation and reward. This is the name. We call it non-financial model because at the basis of these models, we don't have a financial mechanism. So they are mainly based on donations, as me giving to you or giving to a project or giving to an organization money just to support them, just to see their project realized, just because I feel close to what they are proposing to me or from what they want to do in their future, in their activities. While, on the other hand, financial model are those models based on financial mechanism. We used to categorize financial model as equity and lending. Equity is based on the investment, so the financial model behind the equity crowdfunding is investment, while on the other hand, within the section on financial models, lending is based on loan. So the main difference is that between the two is that in the investment, you have to return your money and you have a strategic plan to do it, but you don't know a defined period of time, or you don't know which type of interest rate you're giving your money back. While in the lending, you have this already defined when you are promoting and proposing your crowdfunding campaign. But this is something very specific and very technical that we will discuss later on. What are the advantages of using it? And this is a very good question that I want to answer to you. We have two types of advantages. We can have using crowdfunding economic advantages and non-economic advantages. In the economic advantages, we have the possibility of flexible condition or flexible financial goal. So if we are comparing crowdfunding to the traditional source of finance, which could be a bank loan or the funds from a European fund, we see that as organization running crowdfunding, we have more flexibility in terms of setting the guidelines for our crowdfunding, setting the goal, how much I want to raise, or for example, how I want to spend that money, okay? There is not a burden that say to you, you have to raise at maximum, I don't know, for example, 20,000 euro, we cannot give it to you more, or you don't have kind of constraints in using that money just to do some activities, which is something that it's very common with the private or public funds. With crowdfunding, you can decide by your own how much do you need to run your project, how much do you want to raise, how you're gonna spend that money, and the timeline, the timing that you need to raise the money, to use the money, and to develop the project. And this is one important point, one important difference. If I have to tell you another economic advantage, we can see that with crowdfunding, you have a shorter waiting time to get the funds. A crowdfunding campaign, on average, is online on the platform for 2 months. And this means that in 2 months, if you structure properly your crowdfunding campaign, you will be able to raise the fund that you need. This is another important difference if we think about the call for application or call for proposal that you usually apply when you are looking for funds, because these cover longer period of time. For example, if you are proposing your project for a European fund or for a public fund, you have to submit the project, you have to wait that a commission evaluate your project, and then you have to wait that the public organization you are applying for is giving you the money. And this is usually happen in 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months. So this is very useful for all the people and organizations that need money immediately. Of course, this is not the golden rule. It's not that if you are opening a crowdfunding campaign in 2 months, you will have the money that you are asking for, because you have to work a lot about it. But we will see together how to do it if you will follow on with these webinars. And when we are proposing and publishing a crowdfunding campaign, we have to keep in mind that we are opening our project to a broader pool of people. Everyone can go on the platform, see your project, see your organization, and approve it in a kind of way. Because if they are giving to you money, this means that your idea is validated from the market. And so this is costless, because the effort in terms of time, in terms of money that you put in a crowdfunding campaign is not so much compared to the benefits that you might have from the market when they validate your idea. Because then you can bring this validation to another table, for example, saying to the people, see, my idea was already validated by the market. See, someone already believed in my project. That's why it's worth it. Another point could be the partners or stakeholder research. Doing crowdfunding give me the chance to knock at the right door and asking for money. Use it as an excuse. Hey, I'm doing this crowdfunding campaign for this project. I would like also to propose it to you. What do you think about it? Feedback, partners, and stakeholders. You are missing some human resource in your team, and you cannot do the communication strategy for your crowdfunding campaign. So maybe using crowdfunding and the fact that you are realizing a project and that you want to do it like this, you can find also people that support you, not economically, but maybe giving to you their knowledge or their competencies. Another point, of course, is the visibility. We are publishing the campaign on a platform which is internet-based, so it's online. Everyone can see it. So the more people see it, the more money potentially you can get. And at the end, one important thing that I would like to highlight to close this first webinar is the fact that with crowdfunding, you always have a feedback cycle. Because even if the crowdfunding campaign is not successful, you have the chance to understand why it wasn't successful. It was me that I didn't develop the crowdfunding properly. It is the idea that I thought it was amazing, but it's not really catching for the market, for the audience. Or there were some misunderstanding, mismatching between what was in my mind, in my head, and what people expected from the other side. And this is something that you don't have when you, once again, coming back, applying for other traditional source of finance, because usually the bank just say to you, no, the project is not worth it, the money that we are providing with these grants. Or maybe the European fund just reject your project, and so you don't have this direct feedback from the audience you are asking money. So this was our first webinar developed with Creative Academy, the academy that wants to give it to you knowledge and wants to realize your project. Thank you for being with me, and I hope to see you again virtually on the next webinar.